Can we start, ma'am? Time is.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Bhumi Parikh, on behalf of Vidush Somani Institute of Engineering and Technology, extend a warm welcome to all of you on account of this technical lecture series Tech Ignite 2021 organized by VSITI. So, commencing with the first session, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Amit Ganatra, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Respected sir is the Dean at Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Charu sir. Respected sir is also the principal at Devang Patel Institute of Advanced Technology and Research, Charu sir. More than 100% industry projects at graduate level and 100% dissertations at postgraduate level have been supervised by you, sir. Research interests of you, sir, includes data science, data warehousing, data mining, business intelligence and big data analysis, artificial intelligence, machine learning and soft computing, object oriented concepts, cloud computing, IoT, system software, and software engineering. Respected Sir is awarded with Achievers Award for his great contribution in the field of academics and educational management from Vice Chancellor Sir of Dharamsing Desai University on 12th January 2020. Many more awards have been won by Sir, and I would request you, sir, to answer the questions of the students. They will paste it in the chat box. So, if the students have any questions, they will paste those questions in the chat box, and sir, you can answer them.
Fine. Thank you, ma'am.
Over to you,
We'll
sir.
answer the question at the end, right? So first we'll
Yes,
see
sir.
the concept.
Okay.
Okay. And
Over to you.
at the end, you just read it out all the question and I'll be answering one by one. Fine.
Okay, okay, sir.
Fine. So good morning, one and all present here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, especially the management of KSV, Vice Chancellor ma'am, Registrar sir, Controller sir, Hiren sir, and all the staff members. So again, I welcome all of you, and today we'll be discussing about one of the most important subject. Both the subjects are correlated, in fact. When you talk about data science, when you talk about AI, machine learning, deep learning, I think both are completely correlated. So this is what we are going to explore today. I urge and make a request to all of you that please make this session interesting. Okay, instead of typing in a chat box, if you have any question, you can straight away ask. In between also, at the end also. So please make this session interesting. Don't hesitate. If you have any doubt at any point in time, whatever your question about your future, if you want to build your career in this, you want to pursue your masters, okay, you want to get the job, everything related to machine learning, data science, I'm open to answer all your queries and the questions, right? I hope this screen is visible. Ma'am, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. It is clearly visible.
Okay. So first we are going to discuss about introduction to AI and machine learning, and then I'll be giving the introduction to data science, because there are two different subjects. You can imagine that it's a very voluminous subject. So I'll give you the introduction about AI and machine learning, deep learning first, and then we'll shift to data science part, right? So you can see that always there is an important term called learning. So all of you are aware that we have to learn, we have to relearn, we have to unlearn, right? So learning is lifelong. You talk about any teacher, including me, every day we have to learn, right? I am learning from you also, you are learning from me also. So I'm always telling to all my students that let us come together and jointly learn from each other. Okay. So when learning is happening, okay, when we can say that learning has happened. So there are certain definitions given by the experts. So you can see that learning denotes the changes in the system. Okay, so whenever there is a change in the mindset of the people, change in the system, that change is only because of that system has learned, that person has learned. Okay, and it will enable the system to make same task more efficiently next time. So for example, if I'm delivering this lecture of machine learning, maybe I have delivered 100 plus session or 150 session, then it is expected that I can deliver this session with more efficiency, more accuracy, more precision. Okay, because as I am gaining the experience, I am having experiential knowledge, and if I am going to perform same task repeatedly over and over again and again, it is expected that my efficiency, accuracy, and precision is more if I perform same task repeatedly again and again, right? So please remember that if you have to learn, then you have to do same task, okay, repeatedly, more efficiently. When you do same task next time, it is expected that efficiency, accuracy, and precision is more. And it should be observed in terms of the changes you can see in system, or in terms of people, you can see that the changes in terms of mindset. Second definition of learning is you have to construct or modify representation of what is being experienced. Okay, so as I've said, your IQ is always going to be modified based on your experience, based on your learning. So based on your learning, based on your experience, it is called experiential learning. If you reconstruct or modify the representations of what is being experienced, then it is nothing but a learning. Okay, and the another definition of learning is what? When you make useful changes in your mind based on your learning. Okay, so this is also one of the important definition of learning. So you have to always change your mindset. Okay, and if you are changing the mindset, that is only possible, that has happened only due to learning has happened. Okay, so here we are talking about machine learning. Okay, so we have to make machine capable to learn exactly like human. The way we learn, the way we understand, the way we think, the way we take the decision, we want to make our machine to learn, understand, think, and take the decision exactly like a human. So we have to basically mimic the human brain inside computer, and that branch of artificial intelligence is called machine learning. Okay, so here we have to make machine capable, that is your system or software or application, whatever you are calling, it is capable for autonomic acquisition, so that it will autonomously acquire new knowledge and integrate with the existing knowledge, and it will produce a new knowledge. So it is basically exactly like the way our IQ is modifying day by day. We want to make the system's IQ also modified day by day. So it has to acquire new knowledge, it has to integrate it with the past knowledge, and it has to generate a new knowledge. So everybody is aware, everybody's learning style is different. Okay, so you can see that most of the learning always happens, and this most important organ where the learning is happening in our human body is brain. Okay, so most of the perception or input processing in the brain may be due to one of the learning algorithms. So everybody's learning style is different. For example, somebody may learn by reading, somebody may learn by attending a lecture, somebody may learn by watching a video. Okay, so there is always a one learning algorithm which is fit in everyone's mind. Okay, so in human, you can see that most of the human intelligence is due to one learning algorithm. That learning algorithm in your mind is obviously going to be different than mine. Okay, so the way we learn, we have to make machine should also learn, means we have to make machine capable to learn exactly like a human. So what here in machine learning we have to do? We have to build a learning algorithm that exactly mimic the human brain. The way we learn, the way we understand, the way we think, and the way we take the decision, we have to make machine capable to learn, understand, think, and take the decisions. This is what is your machine learning, right? So there are various kind of learning. You can see that when you talk about machine learning, when you will be studying this subject, at least there are 4 types of learning. One is a supervised learning. So if you have labeled data, and if you are learning from labeled data, then it is called supervised learning. For example, today, the number of students, those who are present, suppose I want to classify you according to your gender. Okay, so when I say gender, there are 2 distinct labels of gender, male and female, right? So this is called tag data, it is called labeled data. So if you are learning from labeled data, then it is called supervised learning. If you learn from unlabeled data, untagged data, then it is called unsupervised learning. So this supervised learning is also called classification. Unsupervised learning is also called clustering, right? And these two are most important functionality of machine learning and data science, right? So suppose instead of giving this gender as output, I am just going to group you according to your similarity and dissimilarity. That similarity and dissimilarity may be based on your lifestyle, maybe based on your buying habits, based on your hobbies. So here I am not giving output. Here only there is the input. Here input and output both are there. Okay, so in unsupervised learning, I have to extract the features from input data, and based on similarity and dissimilarity, I have to group the objects. That is called unsupervised learning. That is called clustering. Third is a combination of both, that is semi-supervised and unsupervised. That is called semi-supervised learning, which has recently emerged. Okay, so which is a combination of both. So here you have some kind of tagged data in application, some kind of untagged data. Okay, and first you have to apply classification algorithm, and then you have to apply clustering algorithm. Another type of learning is you have to learn from the environment. You have to learn by interacting with the environment. It is called reinforcement learning. Like all of you are playing the game. Okay, it is based on reward and penalty. So you are learning based on reward and penalty. So if you are going to make a mistake, it is going to be considered as a penalty. And if you are through with that, it is going to be considered as a reward. So here your actions will decide how you interact with the environment. And based on that, if you are going to learn, it is called reinforcement learning. For example, robotics, right? The applications of robotics, game playing, this all falls under this learning from environment. Means you have to take the action, and this action will decide whether you will be given the penalty or you will be given the reward. And based on that, you have to learn, right? So it is also called learning from environment, learning by taking an action, learning based on reward and penalty. These all are common. It is called reinforcement learning. One important thing about data science or machine learning is what? Here you require a huge amount of data. When I say huge amount of data, means gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, yottabyte amount of data, because system has to learn from data itself. Okay, so bigger the data, more training will be provided to the system, to the application, to the software, and more training is better. Okay, so if there is a huge amount of data, your system can learn from that data, and based on that, your system's accuracy will be better for future unseen sample. All right, and again you can see that there is a deep learning, which is again the sub branch of machine learning. So for image kind of application, for audio video kind of application, multimedia application, these machine learning algorithm may take more time, and that's why we have to go for deep neural network architecture. It is called deep learning. So here it is also called self-learning from the data without doing any kind of coding. So as you are moving from AI to machine learning to deep learning, coding will be less, but data requirement would be higher. So this is the architecture of learning system. You can see that this is the environment. Okay, and this is your system part. So always there is a critic, there is a performance standard, okay, and everything which is what we expect. So this comes from the environment. So there is a critic. This is a feedback which is given to the learning element. And based on that, you have to change. You can see that these changes which are happening in the system, the way we have discussed, there is a performance element which will check whether the changes have been happened or not. And based on that, new knowledge has been generated. If yes, then it is going to be given again to the learning element. So this is a continuous learning. You can see that. And whether the learning goals have been achieved by following this, then you have to apply to the problem, and this cycle repeats. And you can see that, and based on that, you are taking an action, and this action will generate some kind of decision making or report or whatever. So this is what is the architecture of learning system. So this is artificial intelligence. In AI, we have to make or we have to engineer intelligent machines and program. Okay, so any task which is carried out by the human today, we expect that the same task should be carried out by the machine. That is called artificial intelligence. The word is artificial. Artificial means it is not its own intelligence. Please remember, the problem which really require intelligence to solve the problem, this is where you have to apply artificial intelligence. Any problem where you have a well-proven algorithm, you cannot apply AI problem to solve that. So please remember, any problem which really require intelligence to solve that problem, this is where we have to apply artificial intelligence. So in AI, we have to engineer. Okay, and when I say engineer means you have to plan, you have to analyze, you have to design, you have to implement, you have to test, and you have to maintain that software by your own. That is called engineering. So engineering process means what? Planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. And the person who is doing all that, he is called engineer. So here in artificial intelligence, whatever problem which are solved by the human, we want to make it solved by the computer. So here we are going to engineer intelligent machines and the program, which will carry out same tasks which are carried out by the human. right? That is called AI. And the word artificial because it's not computer's own intelligence. It is our intelligence that we fit inside the computer program, which is reflected by the computer. That's why the word is artificial. It is not the computer's intelligence or the programs or the machine's intelligence. It is the intelligence of the human which is reflected in the program. So here you can see that these are the definitions of AI. The system that think like a human, system that think rationally, system that act like a human. So it's not only thinking, you have to, after thinking, you have to make it act like a human. Okay. And system that think rationally as and when required, system that act rationally as and when required. So this is human, this is rational part, this is thought process, and this is behavioral part. So in short, we have to make the system that think and act like a human as and when required, right? This is nothing but it is called artificial intelligence. So what do you mean by intelligence now? Please see that definition of intelligence is nothing but it is a property or ability attributed to a people, such as if you are knowing something, if you have an ability to think. Intelligence can be reflected when you talk with the other, if you have an attitude towards continuous learning, and if you have a good understanding. Right? So when a person is called intelligent, you see that these all are the attribute of an intelligent person. Based on your current knowledge, you see that knowledge, thinking. If you always think before you reply, this is reflected in your talk. Okay. If you are continuously learning, relearning, and unlearning, and then based on that, you have a better understanding. So intelligence equal to knowledge. Okay, so whatever your existing knowledge plus ability to perceive, feel, and comprehend, process, communicate, judge, and learn. So intelligent behavior can be reflected in any of this, right? So the simplest definition of intelligence is what? Your ability to learn, understand, and think. How can you judge a person is intelligent? Based on his ability to learn, how fast he learn, how fast he unlearn, how fast he relearn, how he understands, how he thinks. Okay, and similar kind of things if you want to make inside computer program system software, then it is nothing but artificial intelligence. You have to make machine or you have to make system able to learn, understand, and think exactly like a human. Right? So AI is a multidisciplinary field. You can see that so many fields are involved. We'll see that. So the word artificial because it is the intelligence produced by the human and not the original intelligence of the computer. That's why the word is artificial. And intelligence is nothing but the ability to acquire new knowledge and use it to solve the problem. So here, as we have discussed, your ability to learn, understand, and think, and after that, you have to acquire this knowledge, new knowledge, and you have to use it to solve some real world problem. Okay. So here in AI, we have to study all the ideas that enable computers to become intelligent, or you have to make them intelligent. Okay. So how we can make computers intelligent, you have to study all these areas. This will make the curriculum of AI. Okay. And here AI is a very important subject of computer science. All of you are aware. It's a buzzword in IT today. And without this, no one can survive. You can see that wherever you want automation, wherever you want intelligent decision making as an automation process, everywhere you require artificial intelligence. So why the people are talking about AI, machine learning, and deep learning today? This is not a new concept, but why we are talking about today, everyone is talking about AI, irrespective of any of the field. Wherever you want to make the automation, wherever you want to make the decision making process automation, always we have to think about AI. So today's environment is favorable for AI, which was not possible before 10-15 years. That's why AI everybody is talking about. First thing is there is an evolution in hardware, right? You can see that we have a high-end servers, we have a storage area network, we have a cloud computing, we have a distributed computing. So thanks to the evolution in hardware, so from a simple computer to we have a high-end server, supercomputers. Okay, we have a cloud computing, which is a distributed computing environment. We have a storage area network, so our capacity to acquire the data, to store the data, and disseminate the data has been increased. Thanks to the technology like 4G, and now soon we are going to realize 5G. So this data transfer technology by which we can transfer the data at very tremendous speed. So now we are going to move from 100 Mbps network to 1 Gbps or even 2 Gbps network very soon with 5G. So you can see that you can transfer the data at tremendous speed. And if the data is available at tremendous speed, You can process it and you can get the insight of the data. You can convert that into a knowledge, and that knowledge can be used for making the your decisions. For example, the cyclone has hit, okay, day before yesterday, and you can see that such kind of predictions are now possible to be made exactly only because our capacity to generate the data, to store the data, and to acquire and to disseminate that has been increased. And based on that, they have made the prediction. This is also a part of AI and data science. You can see that, and because of that, we could have saved so many people's life. So which was not possible previously, right? Such kind of exact predictions were not possible. Why? Because we don't have a capacity to store the data. So second thing is your data transfer after hardware. Third, in subject itself, you can see that there is an evolution from AI to machine learning to deep learning. Now use cases are there, applications are there, utilities are there. So in every field, healthcare, agriculture, telecommunication, education, finance, retail, not a single field is untouched. Everywhere you can see that huge amount of data, and you want to get the insight, you want to make the things automated. Okay, you want to make the automated decision making. So of course you have to think about AI. And now people have a money, awareness is there, trained manpower is there, like all of you are going to become the trained manpower after your graduation is over, who is having knowledge about AI, data science, machine learning and all that. So these all factors jointly have made this subject popular, and that's why everybody is talking about AI, machine learning, data science today, which was not possible before 10-15 years. So now we have a GPUs, we have a TPUs, we have a high-end servers, workstations, cloud computing, storage area networks, we have a 4G, 5G technologies, we have a use cases, people have a money, awareness, we have a people, trained manpower. All right, so this all put together, this has made this subject most important, and without this, there is no future. You talk about IoT, you talk about cloud computing. In backend is our subject, machine learning and data science. So in IoT, you can see you have a sensors which are continuously going to sense the data. But once the data is collected and stored in a storage area network through cloud, if you want to get the insight, if you want to perform statistical analysis, then again the subject machine learning and data science comes in the picture. In data centers like cloud computing, once the data is captured, again, if you want to get the insight, you want to convert the huge volume into value so that you can take appropriate, meaningful decision fast, then again, the subject data science and machine learning comes in the picture. Right? So front end may be any of this technology and subject. In backend, always there is AI, machine learning and data science. So this is for another definition of AI. You can see that it is a field of computer science that is associated with the concepts of machines thinking like a human. You have to make machine think like a human, right? So that you can perform the task like learning, the way we learn, okay, the way we understand, the way we think, the way we take the decision, and then the way we solve the problem, the way we are doing the planning before performing any task. Reasoning means you are giving explanation. So your ability to give reason, explanation, because without that, no one is going to believe. So please remember, most important part is in AI and machine learning, you have to not only provide the solution, but you have to also give the reason, right? And you have to identify the new patterns. That is a new knowledge. So when you study AI, these all are the main topics, right? So there is a searching is a main topic. So here you have to search out of so many possible solution, which is a best solution. For example, any game you take about chess game, you talk about tic-tac-toe, you talk about 8-queen problem. So always you have to take certain steps, and based on that you have to search for the solution, right? So you have to make certain moves, and based on that move, it will decide whether you are going to survive in the game or you will be killed. So here you have to search for best feasible solution out of all the solutions. So there are so many search techniques like genetic algorithm, ant colony optimization, particle swarm optimization, base pair search, hill climbing, simulated annealing, nearest neighbor, branch and bound. So many search techniques are there, which are always going to find out the best feasible solution for the problem at hand. Second part is how to represent knowledge, okay, in the system, and how you have to give the reasoning or explanation about it. Planning is also very important part, right? So how we can make a planning, so that you see the word is planning, it's not a plan. So you have to continuously make the changes as per the ground reality. For example, you can see that Suddenly the day before yesterday there was a cyclone, so immediately we have to cancel the lectures, even if in schedule we have planned all the lectures, but you can see that there were no internet connection in all the rural places and everywhere. And that's why it's not a plan, it's a planning. So you have to change your plan by seeing the ground reality. So it is a continuous present tense. Then machine learning. So all four types of learning: supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. Natural language processing, from speech to text, text to speech, from English to Gujarati, Gujarati to Tamil. You are aware about all that natural language processing part. Expert system. You are aware that experts are very less in the society. So if you have to avail the expertise of that expert to each and every corner of the society, then you have to capture his knowledge and store in a system, and that system is going to act like a expert. Okay, so that is called expert system. And then you have to interact with the environment, like computer vision, speech recognition, mood recognition, facial recognition, robotics kind of application, self-driving car, right? This all falls under your artificial intelligence. So when you are going to study AI, you will be studying all all the topics which are going to be a part of AI. Here, as we have discussed, here we are going to talk about huge amount of data. So bigger the data, it is better for the system so that it can be trained in a better way. Then you must have a knowledge on statistics, okay, because you are working on a historical data. So you have to get the insight from that data. So you must have a knowledge on statistics. Computer science means data structure, design and analysis of algorithms, and all other subjects knowledge is also required. Domain expertise, like in whatever field you are working, education, finance, retail, agriculture, right, healthcare. So you must have a knowledge on domain expertise. So please remember, as a technical person, you should not only know the subject and technology, but you should also know how university functions, how hospital actually functions, how blood bank is actually working, how to reserve the ticket in railway. So that overall process, how to calculate the salary, payroll, right? So please acquire good domain knowledge. Okay, otherwise what will happen? You are not aware about the process and you are aware about the technology. How you are going to apply the technology without knowing the process? So you have to acquire the good domain knowledge, means you must know how each and every organization is functioning. If you are not aware about that, then you have to invest a lot of time at that time to learn that. And without that, you cannot apply any of the technology. Then computer vision means audio, video, and all other kind of application. And most important part is predictive analytics. All of you are aware, we want to make the future prediction, projection, forecasting. So this predictive analytics is the most important functionality of AI and machine learning, right? So you have a past data. So based on this past data, you want to make the future prediction. For example, stock price prediction. So what will be the Infosys stock price today at the end of this day? How I can make the prediction, right? So I have a past data. I have a today's political news. I have a international news. I have a crude price. I have a dollar rupee conversion rate. I have an inflation number, right? I have a ground realities in India. And based on that, I am going to make some kind of projection or prediction or forecasting. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to see the exact price of the Infosys, and what I have predicted, I have to take the difference between these two. It is called error, right? This is called gap. So this gap should be as less as possible. So this is what you have to achieve. That is called predictive analytics. So like you see weather forecasting. So as they have predicted correctly, the cyclone will come and the wind speed may be around 50 to 120 according to the various places. So it is exactly what they have predicted. It has happened, right? So prediction means what? You are going to make the future projection, forecasting, and then you are going to see exactly what has happened and what you have predicted. You have to take the difference between these two, and this you have to calculate is called error. That error should be as less as possible. Then your model is based, your algorithm is based. So these all are the areas of AI as we have discussed. You can see that searching, logic, of course, all kind of logic like fuzzy logic, binary logic, monotonous, non-monotonous logic, and all these kind of logics. Machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, robotics, right? Planning, game playing, knowledge representation, expert system. So when you put together all, it will make this subject called artificial intelligence, right? So when you will be studying this subject AI, these all are the topics which you are going to study before you are going to study the machine learning. right? And here you must have a knowledge, because it's a multidisciplinary subject as we have discussed. So you must have a knowledge about philosophy, mathematics, you see that, statistics and advanced mathematics. Without that, in computer science, you cannot learn any of the subject. Human psychology, you can see that. Computer engineering or computer science engineering means all the core courses like data structures, design and analysis of algorithm, etc. Linguistic, because here you have to deal with text or string kind of data. So you must have a knowledge about the linguistic or language part also. And last, problem domain, like wherever you are going to apply, whether it's agriculture or it is retail, finance, telecommunication, education, healthcare. So you must have a good knowledge on problem domain also. So please keep your mindset aligned with this, and you have to be ready in terms of learning all the subject, because for every subject there is a prerequisite. You cannot learn directly that subject without having the knowledge of the other subjects, right? So this all are called prerequisite, right? So if you have to study AI, before that you must have a knowledge about all that. So this all are the application of AI. You can see that not a single area is untouched. Everywhere AI is applicable. And this is a best field. If you have to build your career, you see that maximum student, even 60-70% of the student, those who are opting to pursue their master, their specialization is machine learning or data science. And the maximum number of jobs which are available today, you can see that in this 5 domain of blockchain, that is your cyber security in general. Then you have IoT and cloud computing. Then you have AI machine learning. Then you have a data science, right? So these are the fields which are going to offer. And then you have a next generation network or software defined network. So these are the 5 subjects or 5 fields which are going to offer maximum jobs. Okay, according to NASSCOM, according to Gartner, you can see that these all are the sectors where you have to apply AI to make the things automated, to make the decisions automated, and for smart decision making. All right, so you see banking, transport, retail, education, communication, gaming, media, hospitality, entertainment, workspace, mobile, sports, aerospace, online shopping, healthcare, agriculture, real estate, social network, defense, smart homes, cyber security, insurance, any kind of event management, politics, and government also. So wherever you have a data, this data science and AI machine learning is always applicable. Okay, so here we have to make the machine capable to learn from the data so that it will extract the knowledge from past data, and based on that it will make the future predictions, forecasting. Then we have a machine learning. So you see that it's a sub branch of AI. So here we have to make machine capable to learn, okay, without explicitly doing any kind of programming or coding. So as you are moving from AI to machine learning to deep learning, coding is going to become less, right? So in machine learning, you require more data than AI, but the coding is of course going to be lesser than AI. Same way in deep learning, you require even more data than machine learning, right? And the coding is only just you have to use the framework or library, and you have to optimize the hyperparameters. So here we have to make machine capable to learn exactly like a human. The way we think, the way we learn, the way we understand, we have to make machine capable of learning, right? Without doing a lot of coding. So this is what is your bookish definition of machine learning. So when you learn from experience, okay, so if you are repeatedly carrying out same task again and again, and as you are gaining an experience, it is expected that your performance on the same task, okay, is always going to be better as you are gaining the experience. So your performance is going to be improved when you repeatedly going to perform same task over and over again and again. So if I am delivering this lecture and previously I was taking 2 hours, I can finish this in a 90 minutes now, right? Without losing any of the important information and content. Why? Because I am delivering it number of times. So I have become more efficient, more accurate, more precise. So any task which you carry out, and if you are repeatedly going to carry out, then your performance is always going to improve as you are gaining the experience. So this is exactly what we want to make the machine capable. So if the machine is also going to perform repeatedly same task again and again, as the machine is gaining the experience, and because of their experiential knowledge, if they have to perform similar kind of tasks next time, then their performance must improve, means their efficiency, accuracy, and precision must be better than the previous similar task. right? So this is the application of artificial intelligence, or you can see it is a sub branch of AI that provides system the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. And in machine learning, we are focusing on the development of computer program that can access data and use it to learn from themselves. So there is no human intervention then. It will learn from data, and based on that, it will make the future predictions. So in machine learning, we enable the machine to process the data in such a way that it can be used for making the future decisions, right? So most important functionality is predictive analytics. So what is the difference between these three? You can see that in AI, we have to make any program pass the Turing test. What is the Turing test? Most important part means if you make any machine, like you see that any machine makes you believe that it's a human. For example, a lot of chatbots are there now. So when you make a phone call, you are actually interacting with the chatbot, but you mistakenly think that you are interacting with a human. So if you can make the person fool that it's actually a machine, right, which is giving the answer, but you think it's a human, then you have made an intelligent machine. That is called Turing test. So for any AI program to be classified as an AI problem or program, then it must pass Turing test. Means any machine makes you believe it's a human, but actually it's a machine, right? Then it is nothing but your artificial intelligence. So here in AI, we have to mimic the human brain and you have to pass the Turing test. Then and then your system is going to be considered as an intelligent one. Well, what about machine learning? If you learn from experience or with experience, then it is called machine learning. And in deep learning, it's a self-learning with or from huge amount of data. So if you have a huge amount of data, if you self-learn without doing any kind of coding, this is nothing but your deep learning. So AI to machine learning to deep learning, which is the current state of artificial intelligence, right? This is what is the evolution which has happened in this subject. And as I have said, you require huge amount of data. The more the data, better the training. Better the training means you have a better predictions for the future. So in machine learning, we have to simulate human-like decision making. And you are aware that the most important organ of human body which is involved is nothing but our brain. And this is a biological brain, and similar kind of concept we are going to implement inside a computer. It is called artificial neural network or a neural networks. So neural network is always used for learning. Okay, so this concept of neural network has been borrowed from our human brain concept. How we learn? We always see the things first, then we process that through our human brain, and then we are going to disseminate that knowledge. So it is exactly we have to design neural network, like it will acquire the data. So there is the input layer, then it will process, that is nothing but the way our human brain processes the data or information, that is called hidden layer. And then based on that, it will generate the output, that is nothing but your output layer. So please remember, a neural network is always used to simulate the human-like decision making. Okay, the way we are learning, understanding, thinking, and taking the decision. If you have to implement inside computer, then you have to implement this concept with a neural network, artificial neural network. It is exactly the simulation of human brain inside a computer. The human brain is capable of thinking in so many possible directions at the same time. So I am conducting this lecture, but I am worried about college, department, and everything, my family. So here your neural network will take so many of data at the same time, and then it will classify it into various classes at the same time, right? Your machine learning is a subset of AI. It provides computer with the ability to learn without explicitly programming it. So how we can accomplish AI? AI is accomplished by studying how human brain thinks, decide, and work to solve the problem. This is what, if you understand how your human brain functions, this is exactly what you have to make inside your computer to make the system intelligent, right? So in AI, we have to make the system or software that imitate means what? Copy, duplicate, emulate, or replicate the human thinking behavior. The way we think, the way we understand, the way we learn, that you have to copy, either duplicate, emulate, or replicate, whatever you are calling, right? That human behavior of thinking, how we should make machine think. This you have to copy from human brain inside computer, right? So AI is a system or software that thinks, understand, decide, and solve the problem exactly like humans. And to achieve artificial intelligence, machine has to learn, and that's why there is a machine learning. Right. So why machine learning? So you don't require any human experts. It's a black box human expertise. Okay. Black box means we don't know our human brain, how it functions. If I am intelligent because of my own thing. So it's a black box. You can deal with any rapidly changing phenomena. Okay. And you can do any kind of customization and personalization in this application. That's why machine learning is important. So try to see with this figure, I have shown you all the three major types of learning. In supervised learning, you can see there are three different types of symbol, right? This circle, star and plus. So how do I put line logically so that I can segregate this circle from star and plus? This is called classification. It is called supervised learning. So as you can see, these labels are known. Okay, so circle is different from star, then it is different from this symbol. So it is called learning from labeled data. This is learning from unlabeled data. You see that now here is no star, circle, plus. So I have grouped them according to similarity and dissimilarity, but here you cannot differentiate. So here I have given input and output both. Here I have given only input. So here it's a labeled data, here it's unlabeled data, right? So here I have not given any kind of output, and the reason why you can see that all objects look similar. So basically you have to group them, right? So this is called unsupervised learning. It is called clustering. And in a single application, if it is both, then you can see it's a semi-supervised learning. So you have some labeled data, some unlabeled data, and based on that, if you are going to segregate these objects into group, then it is called semi-supervised learning. So please remember, it is a classification, this is a clustering, and this is classification followed by clustering. So how this algorithm is actually working? So first you have to train your system. So you have to supply your data. That data can be either in the form of text, document, image, sound, or structured data. So your first you have to extract the features from this data. There is the feature vector, and this machine learning algorithm will take this feature vector. So here you can see that I have an input and output both. I have a labeled data. This is my output and this is my input. From input, it will extract the features and store in a feature vector. And now when you supply the unseen record, so this is my new text, document, image, sound, whatever, it will compare with the feature vector, which feature vector is it is matching. And based on that, it will predict the class level. So this is called my training. This is called learning phase, and this is called my prediction phase. So this is called descriptive part. This is called predictive part. So first I have to make my system learn. Okay, so I am giving input and output both. This is for supervised learning. It will extract the features, and based on that, it will divide this data into class. And then when you have an unseen sample, it will compare with these feature vectors, whichever is nearer, and based on that, it will decide the appropriate class level. So here you can see that the example of supervised learning is classification and regression. So you'll be studying all this in detail. Okay, so if you have a output variable which is continuous or numerical, then you have to go for regression. If your output variable is categorical, you have to go for classification. For example, gender. Gender is a categorical, means you have only two category, male and female. But suppose I want to predict the house price, I want to predict the stock price, then it's a numerical value. Then you have to apply regression algorithm. Right? Classification can be binary, means gender, you have only two class. So how do I put the line so that male can be separated from the female? Or it can be multi-class, like location. You can be from Surat, Rajkot, Ahmedabad, Baroda. So you can see that you are going to put logically so many lines so that you can separate this data into multiple class. Right? So if your output variable is location, then you have so many output label, like, but if you have a gender, then you have only two class. So by either the classification can be binary or it can be multi-class, right? So if you have only two class, then it's a binary, but if you have more than two class, then it's a multi-class classification, right? So please remember this, all you will be studying. So this is, again, there are two types of classification, linear and non-linear. You can see that linear means I can put a logically a line and I can separate this green from blue. So these all are the algorithm like linear discriminant classifier, Neo-Bayesian, logistic regression, perceptron, support vector machine with linear kernel function. These all are the example of linear classification. And non-linear means you have to put this curve. You see it's a polynomial. So there is no straight line which can segregate the data. So here you have to decide based on the polynomial. So you can see that. So which are the examples? So you can see that here you have multi-layer perceptron, that is your deep neural network, decision tree, random forest, k nearest neighbor. These all are the example of the non-linear classifier. Right? So classification can be linear, it can be non-linear. So real world problem is always non-linear, right? You cannot have a single line and you can separate the data. So this is the classification example. For example, I want to divide this data into 3 classes. Okay, apple, cow, and tomato. Okay. So first I have to extract the features of apple, I have to extract the features of tomato, I have to extract the features of cow, and then I have to store them in a feature vector. And I have to train my system by supplying so many such kind of images. So from this image, it will build the feature vector. And whenever I am going to supply any unseen record, it will compare with all the feature vector and it will see whether it's a cow, tomato, or apple. So this is what is my classification framework. Y equal to fx. This is my output. This is my prediction function, and this is my image feature. Okay. So for apple, you have a certain image feature. For tomato, you have a certain image feature, and for cow, you have a certain image feature. So first you have to train your system by giving both an input and output. So you can see that x1, y1 up to xn, yn. You have to supply thousands of record so that your system will extract the features from all the images and it will learn. Okay. And then we have to supply unseen record, which is of either type cow, apple, or tomato. And based on the feature, it will be a part of either of this class. So here we have to estimate the prediction function f. This is what? By minimizing the prediction error. Okay, so that there is no difference between what you have actually predicted and what is the exact class. And then you have to test. Okay, so you have to supply the unseen image and you have to see that whether it is correctly being classified or not. So these all are the application of supervised learning. You can see that pattern recognition, face recognition, your pose recognition, lighting, occlusion, your makeup, you are aware, right? Hairstyle. Now you go to barber shop and they will be showing you various hairstyle by keeping your face. So how you will look with various hairstyle, character recognition, handwriting style, speech recognition, mood recognition, medical diagnosis, web advertisement. These all are the applications of supervised learning. Then you have unsupervised learning. Now here there are no labels. Try to see the difference. Here you have input and output both. So here it's a label data. Now here there is no label data. You can see only input and from this it has to extract the features. Now when you supply unseen record, it has to just compare. So there is no output. So in supervised, training will be done on both input and output, while here the training will be done only on input. So now there are no class label. It's a untagged data. Right? And based on that, it will predict the class level. This is called clustering. Supervised is called classification. Right? So these all are the applications. You can see that whenever you want to group similar kind of instances where the class label is not known, whenever you want to summarize, you have to perform association analysis, means you have to find out the correlation or relationship like bread and butter, computer and printer, such kind of things. You can use supervised, unsupervised learning. Customer segmentation, according to their buying habit. Okay, or according to their buying pattern, you are going to group them. Okay, image compression, that is color quantization, bioinformatics like learning motifs. And then you have a reinforcement learning. Okay, so as I've said, when you learn by interacting with the environment, you have to take the action. So there is an agent-based learning. So there is an intelligent agent which always works in the background. It will take the action by interacting with the environment. And based on its action, whether its action is correct, then it will be reward. If its action is not correct, then it is given as a penalty. So such kind of learning, when you do by interacting with the environment, the learning by agent, learning by interacting with the environment, or learning based on reward and penalty, it is called reinforcement learning. And the applications are game playing, robotics, multiple agents, or self-driving car. These all are the applications of reinforcement learning. So here you have a supervised learning plus some kind of control, right? This is going to lead to the reinforcement learning. So now you see why machine learning is so hard. This is what is an image, what we see. Okay, what you see and how your machine learning algorithm, because for computer it's only 0 and 1, you have to convert that into a numerical part. So try to see that this you need to convert that into a vector matrix, and then you have to process that. So this is what your machine learning algorithm sees, and this is what you can see in the front end, but back end you can see which kind of processing is there. It's all about numerical processing because computer does not know what is image. Right, so there are 4 types of feedback or learning as we have discussed: learning, supervised learning, unsupervised, combination of both, and then reinforcement learning. So when you study machine learning, the course is along with this statistics and advanced mathematics plus 4 types of learning. It will make machine learning. So in machine learning, you are always going to study these 4 types of learning, right? These are the only 4 ways by which you can make machine capable to learn. Either it is a supervised, unsupervised, combination of both, or you have a reinforcement learning, right? So here the applications of supervised learning is prediction, classification, and regression. Here you have clustering, association rule mining, and dimensionality reduction. Then you have a combination of both, semi-supervised, and reinforcement means your robot, chess game, and other are nothing but where the decision making is expected by the intelligent agent which is working in the background, which will interact with the environment with his action, and based on that either reward or penalty is given. So this is the 2 major types of learning. You can see supervised and unsupervised. So try to see that in supervised, I am not only giving the input, but also giving the label. So this is my duck, this is duck, this is not duck, this is not duck. So this supervised learning algorithm will take this and it will predict this. Okay, so this is my classification model. Now I am supplying this without label. So it will predict whether it's a duck or not duck. So here along with input, you have to also give the label. So your system will be trained on both input and label. Okay, and then you have to supply data without label. So I'm just supplying the image, and based on this knowledge what you have acquired from past, right, it will learn. So when you present now any unseen object, because it has acquired the knowledge, it will predict whether it's a duck or not. But if you see in clustering or unsupervised learning, it's only image. I am not supplying duck or not duck. Try to see labels are not there. So I am going to extract the features, and according to similarity and dissimilarity, I am going to group them. Okay. So this is what is the difference between classification and clustering. So this is called supervised learning. Here you have an input and output both. Here you have a labeled data. Here it's a unlabeled data. You have to extract the features from only input, and based on you have to group them based on their similarity or dissimilarity. So these are the some applications. So this is very important. Try to see this. If you have any question till this point, you can ask. So there are 4 types of learning in machine learning as we have discussed: supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement. In supervised learning, your output variable can be either continuous or you can have a categorical. Okay, so if it is continuous like stock price prediction, house price prediction, then you have to apply regression. But if it is categorical, okay, like medical imaging, whether the person is suffering from cancer or not cancer, gender, male classification, right, male, female, then it's a categorical. So here you have to apply classification. In unsupervised, either you have a clustering, so class level is not known, or you have to find out the association or relationship between the data, like market basket analysis. Which items are frequently being purchased when you visit in the superstore? Because when we go to market, we always take the basket and put the items in that. So if I analyze your basket, if I analyze your bill, then I can find out which items are frequently being purchased or bought by the customer together. Right? So in unsupervised, you have a clustering and association. Semi-supervised is a combination of both. Okay, so you have a categorical target variable, you have a some labeled data, you have some unlabeled data. So here you have to apply classification followed by clustering. And in reinforcement learning, if you have a categorical target variable, as I've said, you have to apply classification. But if your target variable is not available, you have to make some kind of control. Then this is nothing but the example of self-driving car. So see this is the most important slide for you so that you can understand the applications of machine learning, where you can apply machine learning. right? So whether it's a supervised learning, unsupervised learning. So here, when you are going to study this subject in the future semesters, you will be studying various algorithms for regression, classification, clustering, association, okay, and for reinforcement learning, how to control. So this is what are the applications. You can see your email classification. All of you are aware, either your email is going into inbox or spam. So there is some algorithm, classification algorithm, which is a supervised form of learning, which will segregate this email into either not spam or spam. House price prediction, you can see that you have a features like in which area, what is the total number of bedroom, hall, kitchen, size, which kind of other things, amenities. Based on that, you have a price, right? And based on that, you are going to predict that after 5 years, what will be the cost in this region or in this area. So this is called prediction. Prediction is always to be done for continuous attribute with a regression model. And then clustering, you can see that here you have only input. So you are just going to group them according to similarity and dissimilarity. So these are the features. You are going to extract the features from your data. So for example, if my buying habit and your buying habit is same, then we will be in a same cluster. But if your buying habit is different than mine, then we both are in a different cluster. So these all are the applications you can see of machine learning. So you can easily understand where is, so every day you are using classification, supervised learning, but you were not aware. Every day you access the email. Every day in your inbox, the emails are coming. So which is nothing but a classification. Okay. Every day you are seeing this stock price prediction or weather prediction or forecasting. That is nothing but a regression. Right. So this is what is machine learning cycle. To define the project objective, first you have to acquire the huge amount of data. You have to explore the data. Then you have to supply this data to the model, supervise, unsupervise, or whatever. Then you have to interpret and communicate the results. And then you have to implement, document, and maintain the system. And last part is your deep learning. You can see that when you learn based on deep neural network, so you are learning from data itself without doing any kind of coding. So self-learning without doing any kind of coding is a deep learning. So this is what is the current state of AI. AI to machine learning to deep learning. So machine learning is a subset of AI, deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So for image, audio, video kind of application, where machine learning algorithm is taking too much time, you have to go for deep learning. But before you go to deep learning, you require special workstation with GPU or TPU. You require terabytes of data, and you need to design efficient algorithm, right? These three are the requirement. So this is what is our biological brain. This is a biological neuron, which is there in our human brain. Our human brain is made up of so many such kind of biological neuron which acts in parallel. Okay, so these dendrites are nothing but my input. So this is what right now you are watching. This is my input. So this is called dendrites. Then your human body is going to process that, this soma or nucleus, and this axon is output. Okay, so whatever you are going to learn, think, write is nothing but my output. So this way all neurons are getting connected. This is our biological neuron. This is similar concept we are implementing inside computer. So as I have said that you can take so many input at the same time because human brain is capable of thinking in so many possible direction at the same time. Even right now I am watching monitor, my TV screen, this keyboard, mouse, phone, mobile, pen at the same time. So here you will take so many input. This input will be transformed into output. So you can see that this is input. This will be processed by the cell body, and this will be the output. This is exactly how human brain is working. It is called a typical neuron, biological neuron. This is my artificial neuron. Right, and this is my activation function, which will activate the neuron so that it will take the input and transform them into output in this specific range of either 0 to 1 or 0.5 to minus 0.5 or 0 to 1. So this is my simple neural network. In deep neural network, you have so many hidden layers. Try to see. So there is an input. Input is what you see from this world. Hidden means your human brain. We don't know how it actually processes. That's why it's a hidden from everyone. And this is what the output, what you can see. So I can consider this is keyboard, mouse, whatever I'm doing. the classification is nothing but my output. So if you have a single or few hidden layer, then it is your simple neural network or conventional neural network. But if you have a stack of hidden layers, then your training is going to be happening thoroughly, deeply. That's why it's a deep neural network. So I'm simply explaining you the difference between simple neural network and deep neural network. Right? So this you will be studying in detail in future. So here you can see there is a hierarchical architecture composed of multiple processing layers. So this is what is the difference between machine learning and deep learning. In machine learning, you have to write down the code to extract the feature. Like if this is a car, I have to extract the features of this car. Like it has a this tires, or it has this kind of structure, and these are the four doors and all that. So here I have to manually code the features. I have to extract the features, and then I have to supply this to the classification algorithm. And then whether it's a car or not car, it will be classified. In deep learning, this feature extraction and classification is fully automated. You have to just supply the data. So it is a self-learning from data without doing any kind of coding. Here you have to do little bit of coding, but here there is no coding. So now please understand, the coding jobs are becoming very less. What you require is huge amount of data. You must have a knowledge how to design an efficient algorithm, and you require a hardware. That's it. Right. So this is what I was talking about. You require data, huge amount of data that can be structured or unstructured. Unstructured means multimedia data, audio, video, image, and everything. You require computational power, special workstation with GPU or TPU, and then you require efficient algorithm. Right. So these all are the applications of deep learning. So when machine learning fails, you have to apply deep learning. Okay, so in deep learning, like multimedia data, where you require huge amount of features which are need to be processed, where machine learning algorithms are slow, you have to go for deep learning or deep neural network architecture. So these all are the application: computer vision, information retrieval in marketing, medical diagnosis, natural language processing, online advertisement, everywhere you can apply. And this all are the various types of deep neural networks you will be studying, okay, when you are going to study this subject. Convolution neural network, which is used for image and video. The recurrent neural network, which is used for documents and time series data. Deep belief network, again, you can use it for image. Recursive neural tensor network, long and short-term memory, restricted Boltzmann machine, autoencoder, transfer learning, and GAN, generative adversarial networks. So try to see, these are the applications where you can use. Text processing, you can use RNN and RNTN. RNN means recursive neural network and recursive neural tensor network. So if you have text kind of data, you can apply this. Image recognition, for that you can use convolution neural network and deep belief network, as I've said. For object recognition, you can use CNN and RNTN. CNN and RNTN, you can see recursive neural tensor network. For speech recognition, you can use again RNN. For time series data which is collected over a period of time, like your weather data, your stock price data, or your results data, this all is an example of time series data, which is again you can apply RNN. And if you have unlabeled data, then you can apply restricted Boltzmann machine, BM. So this is very important slide for all of you, again, so that you can understand for which kind of data which deep neural network architecture is to be applied. Right, and this is what is the purpose of all CNN, RNN, LSTM, RBM, DBN, autoencoder. What is this type? Whether it's a discriminative, generative. The purpose is classification, prediction, or supervised, unsupervised, or dimensionality reduction. Suitable for which kind of data, and what is the example? Kindly go through it. This you will be studying in detail when you are going to study the subject. I am just going right now giving you the brief idea about the subject, so that there will be no surprise when you study this subject. So please don't be worried about all these keywords and everything. Okay. What you can do, you can enroll for online course if you are interested in Coursera, NPTEL, Khan Academy, MOOCs, edX. These all are the well-known platform, or you can watch small YouTube videos on machine learning, deep learning. Okay, based on your interest, whenever you have a time, and you can acquire good domain knowledge as well as subject knowledge and the technological knowledge about the subjects. Fine. So we are not going into detail because we have to cover data science perspective also. So now I'll be covering the data science part. So data is power, right? Because data contains value and knowledge both. But this value and knowledge both are hidden within data. So how to extract this into front? This is what is a subject called data science. So you see that the same subject which we were calling previously data mining, then it has been converted into data analytics and then into big data analytics, and now we are calling it as a data science. So you can see that this is the history of the data. We have a flat file initially when we have started working in 1960. Then we have a database management system in early 1960. Then in 1970s, we have a RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. In early 1990s, we have a data warehousing. Okay, after that, data mining came in the picture, then business intelligence, then data analytics, then big data analytics, and now we are talking about data science. So this is what is data unit. You can see that you are aware. It's a 1 bit. Okay, then we are calling it as a bit. It's a 1/8, 1/8 of your byte. If there are 4 bits, we are calling it as a nibble. If there are 8 bits, we are calling it as a byte. Okay, if there is a 1 kilobyte, it's a 2⁻10. Okay, so 1024, roughly 1000 you can consider. 1 kilobyte, if you multiply by 1 kilobyte, it will make 1 megabyte. When you multiply 1 megabyte with 1 megabyte, it will make 1 gigabyte. When you multiply 1 GB with 1 GB, it will make 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte means this many bytes of data which you can store. So this is what is your hard disk capacity. This many bytes of data it will store. Then you have a petabyte, means when you multiply 1 terabyte with 1 terabyte, it will make 1 petabyte, means this many bytes you can store. Then you have a exabyte, zettabyte and yottabyte, right? So similar way, you multiply by petabyte to petabyte, it will make exabyte, then zettabyte, yottabyte. So now you can imagine this is what is the capacity of your data center or your big servers or storage area network. This much of data it will store. Now from this much of data, how I can get the insight, how I can convert the data and information into knowledge. This is what is a subject called data science. Right, so our data types may be structured data, it may be unstructured data like web, you have a combination of both like XML, you have a graph data like social network and semantic web, and you have a live data, streaming data, like right now if you are watching this on a video, okay, or live, then it's a streaming data, there is a live data. So these all are the various types of data. So this same algorithm has to deal with all kind of data in a single application. So how I can process all this kind of data and get insight from this data. This is what is the subject. So what is data analytics? The main theme in data analytics or data mining is what? The key in any business is to know something that nobody else knows. And to know something, you have to dig out everything. Okay, so if I have to beat the competitor, I must be knowing something that nobody else is knowing. And the second idea behind this subject is what? I have to operate the business at the rate of the speed of the thought. Means the way ideas are coming in my mind, my system should be capable to provide me the information and knowledge so that I can take appropriate, meaningful decision very fast. Right? This is what is the theme behind this subject. So we are working with a data. We have a huge amount of data, but we have to convert this into a knowledge. This is what is a subject called data analytics. So how to convert data into knowledge, right? So data into information, information into knowledge. This is what is a subject called data analytics. So let us see the data pyramid. Okay, what we input is data. When you add the context to the data, it will become information. For example, when you have enrolled for this Vidyut Somani college, you might have been asked to enter your data, like you have a name, then you have an address, mobile number. So this all are data. But once you have saved this data, means it is the information about one student, data plus context, it is now information. From information, if I have to extract the knowledge, then I have to apply the rule. For example, how many of you are boys? So right now, those who have enrolled for this lecture, okay, so they might have asked you to enter your data, and then you have a context plus data is the information. Now I want to know how many of you are boys and how many of you are girls. So how do I come to know how many girls are attending lecture? I have to apply the rule, means where gender equal to female. So when I write the query, I can find out how many of the girls are attending the lecture. So please remember, when you add the context to the data, it will become information. when you apply the rule on information, it will become the knowledge. And once you have a knowledge, you are a wise person. It's a wisdom. So based on your experience and knowledge, it is called experiential knowledge. You can take appropriate, meaningful decision fast, and based on that, you can make the profit. You can survive in your business. Right? So this is where your intelligence and everything reflects. So this is what we have to achieve. It is nothing but your data science. So this is what is the relationship between data, information, and knowledge. Okay, so whenever you have a data may be dirty. It may have a missing value, noise, outlier, inconsistent data, anomalies may be there. So you have to format, filter, and summarize. It will become information. So process data will be information. Then on this information, you are going to apply the rule, means you are going to interpret, decide, and act. Is nothing but my knowledge. And again, this knowledge cycle is going to be repeated. And again, you have experiential knowledge. You can see that this cycle always repeats. Right? So what is data warehouse? You can see that from all these distributed databases, you want to make a single repository so that here only this algorithm of data analytics or data mining can be working. And based on that, you can extract the knowledge out of data. Right? So you consider you have so many departments in your college. They have their separate database. So we have to take the data from all the database and you have to keep single repository on top of that. It is called data warehouse, and then data mining algorithm is always going to work on this data warehouse so that you will get the result very fast. So this is what is the purpose of data analytics. You can see that data, information, knowledge, and based on knowledge, you are going to take the decision. So here you are going to move from volume to the value. So if you want to get the insight of the data, you have to move from volume to the value. Okay, so how do I convert the volume into value? This is what is subject. It is called data analytics. So when you add the value to your knowledge, means then it is called data analytics. So the subject is what? I am inputting data. Then I have an information. Then how do I convert that into knowledge, and how do I make this automated decision making process? Means you are moving from volume to the value. And this is where AI comes in the picture. You see that machine learning and AI comes in the picture. This is where you have to make the automated smart decision making process after extracting knowledge. So this is what is the relationship between your data science and machine learning. So this is my data pyramid. You can see that you have so many distributed databases. On top of that, you can build either data warehouse or data mart. Data mart is a subset of data warehouse. Then you can explore this data by firing a query or performing statistical analysis. You can do data mining. When I say data mining, means classification, clustering, association, prediction. This all what we have discussed in machine learning is nothing but my data analytics part or data mining part. And after that, you can use graph, chart, report to visualize the results. So this data mining is possible. You see, there is an integration of so many things. Then and then this data analytics or data mining is possible. So as we have discussed, thanks to the evolution in hardware, because our computing power has been increased, and that's why you can process huge amount of data. DBMS subject itself from file to data warehousing to data mining to data analytics. So there is a improvement in the subject or data management itself. And then you have a other subjects knowledge. It's a prerequisite. Thanks to the statistics, machine learning, design and analysis of algorithm, these all subjects. So when you integrate all these three, you can learn data analytics or data science or data mining. So please remember, if you have to study this subject, you must have a knowledge on statistics, machine learning, and all other subjects. You must have a knowledge about database, data warehouse, data mining, data analytics, and all that. And you must be knowledgeable about the hardware part, evolution in hardware, computing power, and everything. Now we'll see in data mining or data analytics, this all are the subjects knowledge which is essential, as we have discussed: machine learning, DBMS, statistics, visualization, algorithms, and any other discipline, because it's the open subject. So in 1990s, what we were calling data mining, now we are calling data science. Okay, so data to information to knowledge, knowledge to the value, that is called data analytics. And when you apply this for structured or unstructured any kind of data, then it's a data science. So this is what is my knowledge discovery process, how data mining actually works. You can see that you have a distributed data. You are selecting only those data which are relevant for your mining task. So you are pre-processing. And there is a pre-processed data. This is where you are applying your data mining or machine learning, and then you are generating the output. And then you are interpreting or evaluating the results. And this cycle repeats, right? So it's a interactive as well as iterative. This is what is my data mining cycle. You can see that again, there is a database. You have to select only relevant information. Suppose I want to analyze your result, then I don't require your mobile number, name, address. Okay. So this is called data selection process. So in database, everything will be there. But when I build data warehouse or when I go for data mining or data analytics, I have a relevant information only. And then I have to pre-process. If there is a dirty data, I have to clean. And then you have to perform mining, but it should not be random. You can see that it should be exact. So this is how industry is applicable. You can see that industry always have a raw data. Okay, so you have a data warehouse. You have to store this data from distributed databases to data warehouse. Then you have to transform them into a form suitable for data mining after selection and cleaning. And then you have to apply data mining algorithms. And this will be stored in knowledge. And this is what you have to understand. So this whole process you have to make automate. This is what is our subject. Right? So AI is going to make all this process automated. So after that, human intervention is not required. So see the excitement of the person after getting the knowledge. Okay, so this gold and diamond for any person in organization is a knowledge. So if you have a capable system which will always provide the knowledge so that you can take appropriate, meaningful decision fast. And for that you require these subjects, right? So AI is going to make this overall process automated, and data mining is going to use to extract the knowledge from the data and information. Right, so this is the structure of data science. You can see that you can apply this to a structured data or unstructured data or combination of both. So try to see, here is my structured data, this is my combination of both, and this is my unstructured data. So you are moving from batch to the real-time data, the OTP generation and everything, which is a real-time processing. Okay, so your data is in primary memory. At that time you have to process it. It is called real-time. And when you process the data in the batch, means the data is residing in hardware, and you are processing in a batch at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, like salary calculation. It is called batch processing because you have to perform that after every 1 month. But OTP generation is a real-time analytics, right? Your Uber, Ola applications, and it will perform real-time analytics. So it will be done on a streaming of data, live data, when your data residing in primary memory itself before it moves to the secondary memory. So here you have to go for various kind of framework. Okay, so if you have to process batch data, then you have a Hadoop kind of framework is used, and if you have to process real-time data, then Spark kind of framework can be used. So in real world, you have either structured data, the data which is stored in a database, either you have unstructured data, means video, audio, and all that, and you have a single application where you have a combination of both. So same algorithm should be applicable or applied to either structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data. This is what you have to study under data science. Right. So there are two tracks. One track is of data analytics, that is from data to information to knowledge to the value. Okay. Decision making and value addition. And the another track is where you have this big data, which may be structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. So how you are going to get the insight from this data by using various kind of framework like Hadoop and Spark, and by using various NoSQL databases. Right. So these all are the data sources which generates the huge amount of data. All the sensor system application users, you can see that these all are the devices like mobile devices, microphones, readers, scanners, science facilities, programs and software, social media, which is the biggest contributor, cameras which are being installed everywhere. They continuously generate the data. So try to see that every day 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are generated in the world, and 1 quintillion is 10 raised to 18. Every day we are adding this much of data, right? And now after 1 year or after 2 years or 5 years, you have to analyze all the data together to get the insight. How do we get? Please imagine, this is what is a complex problem, right? And this all are the contributors of the big data: social media, sensor, digital photos, business transaction, location based data. So what is data science? You have to extract the knowledge. Okay, data needs to be stored. So how I can store this huge amount of data? How I can manage while it is being stored, and how I can analyze this data. This is what is subject called data science, right? So your data mining, big data, predictive analytics, nowadays what we call as a data science. So if you have to extract the knowledge from unstructured data, semi-structured data, huge amount of data, because every day we generate 2.5 quintillion of data, 2.5 into 10 raised to 18. How we can store this huge amount of data, how we can manage while it is being stored, and how we can analyze. So data science has to answer these questions: what has happened, why did it happen, what is likely to happen in future, it is called prediction, and which actions can be taken based on this analysis, and how to cause something to happen, right? So first is called descriptive. What has happened is called descriptive. Second is called why did it happen, it is called diagnostic. What is likely to happen is called predictive. What actions can be taken based on analysis is called prospective, and how to cause something to happen is called cognitive analysis. So please note down, these 5 things when you put together is nothing but your data science. So with data science, we are going to answer the question: what has happened, why did it happen, what is likely to happen in future, which actions can be taken based on analysis, and how to cause something to happen. It is called descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prospective, or cognitive analysis. So data science is concerned with the acquisition, storage, processing, retrieval, and finally the conversion of data into knowledge, where the quantum of data is very large, which can be either structured or unstructured, right? This is what is meaning of data science. So data science is a science of making sense out of data, right? And discovery is guided by data rather than by a model. So data science is extraction of actionable knowledge directly from data through a process of discovery, hypothesis, and hypothesis analysis. So this is what are the challenges. You can see that usage, quality, context, streaming, scalability. Okay, these all are the operator like visualize, reason, model, represent, prepare, collect, and these all are the data modalities like structured data, unstructured data, ontologies, networks, text, multimedia data, signals. So this is what you have to deal. These all are the challenges. Okay, you can use all these operators, you can use all these data modalities, and you have to manage all the challenges of the data. Whether you want to process data in a batch or real-time analytics, right? So which algorithms are to be used? This is what you have to study in detail, and this is where industry is expecting from all of you. So it's not only the technical knowledge and skill is required and it is important. Your behavior, okay, your soft skill, your internal qualities are equally important. Please remember, right? So whether you are having problem solving attitude, okay, whether you are solution focused or not, whether you are forward looking or not, whether you are helping in nature, whether you are a team player, whether you are a good leader, okay, whether you think out of box, whether you can think critically, okay, whether you have a problem solving attitude, whether you have a creativity in your mind. So these all are equally important, whether you can express it nicely or not. So your communication skill, your aptitude, your attitude, along with this subject knowledge, right, which will decide your future career. Yes, ma'am. So I hope I have made it clear about AI, machine learning, deep learning, as well as what is data science and what is the correlation between both the subjects, right? And you can imagine that there are millions of jobs which are waiting for all of you. What I expect from all of you and what is required by the industry or society is you have to become good global citizen of tomorrow. You have to adapt the cross culture very fast. You should be adaptive, like the way we are becoming adaptive nowadays. All of we have become a learner. All of you are aware. So learning must happen. My recommendation to all of you, whether you are at university, college, or you are at home, whether you are at traveling, during traveling also learning must happen. Everybody has to learn, right? You have to keep right attitude, right aptitude. You have to acquire good soft skill, good internal qualities along with the subject knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, of VSITR. Sir, there are a couple of questions.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
ready to
I
answer.
would like
Yeah.
to
So
put it
please,
forward for you.
yeah, please pick up, ma'am. I'll answer.
One student has asked that, sir, I have digital data of 3 semesters. Can
Hmm.
we build artificial intelligence which help our college juniors while studying under our Vidush organization rules?
Yes, of course. But for that, when you are going to study this subject, you will come to know, right, which kind of functionality you have to apply. When I talk about data analytics or data science, as we have discussed, right, we can go for supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised. Again, in supervised, whether your output variable is target, that is your categorical or continuous, whether you want to go for classification or prediction. So for clustering, if your output variable is not known, so yes, you can apply one by one all this kind. Whenever you have a data, you want to get the insight, whenever you want to convert the volume into value, yes, store them in a database, apply this classification algorithm. You have to learn certain tools like Orange Canvas, Weka, Tenegra, Cipina, SPSS. So many tools are there. So you can watch the video also and you can learn, right? So for any kind of digital data, you can apply this machine learning or data science algorithm and you can get the insight, you can convert the volume into value.
Okay, sir. Sir, how strong we should develop our maths to go for machine learning?
Yes, very important question. As I've already said, there are some prerequisite and without mathematics in any of the subject, forgetting about data science and machine learning, when you are part of computer science, IT or computer engineering, right, because you have a mathematics background, so the knowledge on linear algebra, matrix, vectors, statistics, discrete mathematics, like set theory, relation, okay, graph theory, this all are very much essential. So my recommendation to all of you is please watch YouTube video, enroll for good online course on advanced mathematics and statistics because it is a prerequisite for our subject. Because the along with the output, you have to also give the reason. You have to do the inferencing because no one is going to believe the answer unless and until you are going to give the explanation or reasoning behind the answer what you have produced, and that you cannot give without having mathematical background, right? So without mathematics, you cannot give the reason, you cannot do inferencing, you cannot give the explanation about your model, why input is converted into output, and the society is never going to believe your answer. So please acquire good knowledge on mathematics and statistics.
Okay, and another question that, sir, where to learn about all these algorithms?
You are going to study this subject, of course. See, right now you are in first semester, so this college has made good effort so that all of you are in a position to understand that which are the future subject and technologies, right? So right now you are immature, means you will be studying certain subject like data structure, design and analysis of algorithm, and all other prerequisite along with the mathematics, discrete maths, and all that. Statistics and probability, numerical analysis and everything. Then you will be studying AI, then you will be studying machine learning, then you will be studying data science. So while you study data analytics and data science, you would have studied all the subjects which are prerequisite for that. And at that time, you can think about solving the problem. So the popular programming languages which you can learn like Python, R programming, Java, Scala, these are the 4 most popular programming languages. And the tools like Weka, Tenegra, Orange Canvas, RapidMiner, these all are the popular tools which you can even learn, and these all videos are available on YouTube. Straight away you can search about all this and you can install and configure. It's a freeware, and straight away you can start working on this. So Orange Canvas is the best tool for machine learning and data science. which is developed in a Python. You can straight away implement, start using it, install it, and start watching the videos which are available and start doing the functionalities. Yes, any other question?
Yes, sir. One more question that, sir, can you elaborate more about machine learning module?
As I've said, machine learning is a part of artificial intelligence. It is a subset, it is a sub branch, whatever you are calling. So here we have to make machine capable to learn exactly like a human, right? So the way we learn, understand, think, and take the decision, we have to make machine capable to learn, understand, think, and take the decision. So for that, as I have discussed, like in our human brain, there is important component called neuron, biological neuron. And when you put together all biological neuron, it is making a neural network. Okay, biological neural network. So similar concept we have borrowed. The same human brain we are simulating inside computer with artificial neural network. So you have to study neural network in detail to understand how we can make machine learn. Okay, and the only way we can make the machine learn is what? We have to provide huge amount of data, so it will extract the knowledge out of that, and that knowledge is going to be retained. And whenever any unseen object in the future is going to be presented, it is always going to be compared with the knowledge what you have acquired, and based on that, it will predict the future. Let me give you an example. What is this object? In my hand, there is one object. What is that? Speak up. What is this object in my hand right now?
Sir, actually, they will not be able to unmute. So,
No, madam, you can answer. What is in my hand?
so one student has answered pen.
Pen. Okay. Have you been trained on this object? Have you been trained on this object? How you have recognized and predicted this is a pen? See, you have not been trained on this object because it's a my pen. You have seen first time. But you have been trained on similar kind of object in the past because this object has been presented number of time in front of you. This is pen, pen, pen. It is called training. This is exactly what we have to do for computer. We have to present so many images of pen. So there are features. It will extract the feature. Along with this, we are also going to give label pen. So with these features, it is pen. So the way I have presented even after 15 years in front of you, my pen, you have recognized this as a pen. It is called prediction. Why? Because you have been trained. You have been tested also after training that whether you have remembered or not. So this is exactly same kind of thing we have to do with computer. First, we have to present so many such kind of images. So it will extract the feature, and with this feature, it is called pen, supervised. If you just give only input, it will classify based on similarity that it is one kind of object. So it will be differentiated from the other object. Are you getting what I'm saying? So exactly the way we have learned, we have to make machine capable of learn. This is nothing but a machine learning. So you have to present number of object. Along with that, you have to also give the label. So your system will extract the features, and it will, with this feature, it is this object. So in future, if similar kind of object is going to be presented, it will compare with the feature vector. It will find out what is this and what is the label of that. And based on that, it will do the prediction. Right? So this is what is machine learning.
Then, which mathematical concepts one should know for data science?
As I've said, your linear algebra, matrix, vector, numerical analysis, statistics, and discrete mathematics like relation, set theory, and graph theory.
Okay, sir.
So probability theory, statistics, numerical analysis, discrete maths, vectors, relational algebra, and matrix. Yeah.
Sir, I think now there are no more questions.
So I want quick feedback from them, whether they have enjoyed the session.
Yes, sir, the students have learned a lot from this session. And sir, we are very much grateful to you for the time and effort that you have taken to share the various concepts of machine learning, data science, artificial intelligence, also the learning concept. And since the students are entering a new growth phase, this expert lecture would surely help them to benefit from in their future.
So wish you all the best, all the students, and have a bright future ahead, right? So this is a good subject. Both these subjects, you can build your career in this subject. You can pursue your masters. You can go to Canada, USA, Germany, France. Okay, learn some international language like Japanese language or French language or German language. This is very much essential. Acquire some good certification like Cisco, Oracle, Sun, Java, AWS, along with your graduate degree, and you see the magic. Right, you have to keep right attitude, you have to work very hard, you have to work very smart, you have to acquire good internal qualities, and you must have a good technical knowledge. So always you have to learn, whether you are at university, whether you are at home, and you see that jobs are going to approach you, you have to not approach towards your jobs. Right, wish you all the best, have a bright future, and thank you once again, Hiren sir and all the team members, madam, for
Yes,
inviting.
sir. One student has asked that please share your experience, sir, as a data scientist.
For data scientists, as I have said, I have to carry out all these tasks of classification, prediction, right? Means whatever descriptive mining from past data, I have to carry out statistical analysis, time series analysis, and I have to make the future prediction. So I may be predicting the admission data for my university for next year based on the past data by seeing the ground reality. I may be using the same model for predicting the stock price. I may be using same model for predicting my car maintenance for next time when I am going for my car maintenance. So yes, when you do all these tasks, your role is a data scientist, right? Means you are not doing only association, classification, prediction, clustering, but you are also doing the future prediction, forecasting, and the prediction part.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And now there are no more questions, sir, from the student side. And
So data scientist is always making future prediction along with the descriptive data mining, right? So please remember, if you have to be a good data scientist, then you have to make future prediction correct. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Shall I leave now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. Thank you, all of you. Take care. Bye bye and see you. Thank you, ma'am. And give my regards to Hiren sir and all other KSU members, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank you.
once again, sir.
Thanks. Bye. Take care and see you.
Yes, sir.